Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for being here, and greetings to all the people that is watching, and also the ones that are coming later, or they will watch the taped recording. And I will introduce to you our guest from Canada, Brian Ruhe. Hola, hello, Brian. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, happy to be here, Thomas. Can you hear me okay? See me okay?
I hear you perfectly. Yeah, actually, I heard you all the time. Only the problem was you could not hear me.
Yeah, the earbuds are working. At least my speakers aren't, but I got this working.
Okay, fine. Well, we had done some programs in the Spanish channels, and now we will make one here only in English. That is something easier, that I don't need to be translating all the time.
Yeah.
And you made a lot of programs. Can you explain a bit your biggest hello, Thiva? Thank you for being here. Your biggest channel is on BitChute, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit what kind of subjects you have on your BitChute channel?
Yeah. Well, it's mainly about UFOs and extraterrestrials because in 2022, I posted a notice on my website. I said I promised to start talking about Adolf Hitler and international Jewish power. I used to talk a lot about conspiracies. Particularly those two. So now I'm focusing more on UFOs and aliens. So that's mainly my focus now, and also the alien agenda for human advancement, the role the aliens are playing on interacting with our world and our society, trying to increase our spiritual level of development and our consciousness. I think there's an interaction there. So I focus on the evidence for that. I just interviewed an experiencer today, Nancy Timms in the United States. So that's my main focus now. Yeah.
This change in the focus of your channel was because of censorship, because your YouTube channels were deleted, right?
No, that's not the reason, because there's really no censorship on BitChute. BitChute didn't really stop me. It's just my own focus changed. Like I met Jeff Silver in the year 2020. He's the author of this book, The Rising. So he's a local experiencer. I know him personally, met him here in Vancouver. He came to our UFO meetup meetings. So he convinced me of the value of the gray alien agenda and the gray influence. So I decided that was the most important thing. Is also the solution to the globalists, the solution to the globalist power problem. So I saw this as an answer. I saw the extraterrestrials as an answer. That's why I changed my focus. It wasn't really because of censorship. I've been censored since 2018 on YouTube. They took down my channels in 2018.
I noticed that in on BitChute there is also a lot of censorship, that many channels you try to go in and they say this channel is not available on your region, or you can go in, but there is something that says some of the videos of this channel can be how is it, that can be not adequate or something, and
Hate may have hate speech, warning you about hate speech,
hate speech,
probably.
hate speech, and you have to look some channels with the VPN. Otherwise, you cannot. But well, I guess they have no choice. Also, the government of a country just come to them and say, you must censor this and this, otherwise you cannot operate in the Netherlands or whatever country they are in. And yeah, then they have
Yeah.
this as a
Yeah, BitChute. Yeah, BitChute used to do that. They censored me in most European countries, but I wrote to them after 2022 and I said, look, I've stopped making those videos now that's just about UFOs. So now they uncensored me in all the countries of the world. So now my channel is available everywhere, even though it used to be censored in Europe.
Okay, and what is the relation between Hitler, uh, Second World War, Germany, and UFOs?
Well, well, I could mention I've written this book, Adolf Hitler and Tibetan Buddhism, plus a collection of essays. This is available. My publishers in India, Motilal Banarsida's publishers. So I think the relationship is they were trying to build their own UFOs. I guess they might have been going. There's a downed UFO in Italy in 1933. They had that to work on. Mussolini gave them that. And also they're studying ancient Indian texts on Vimanas. And I think they may have had some psychics or channelers working on. So I think they're working on the design, but I think they basically failed. They never fully got them operational. I think they were just in the point of testing it. And at the end of the war, I think it was just over. I don't think they made it to Antarctica. I don't think they have a base in Antarctica. So I think it didn't succeed.
What about the Brill Society that those many of these people disappeared, and they say they may have gone to other planets?
Maybe that's possible. Maybe the Vril Society was in contact with aliens, and maybe the aliens took them away or took them to Argentina. But I think Germany never succeeded in building, man-made UFOs, so it never really worked for them. But I don't know about the Vril Society. It's possible that they got off this earth. Maybe they did, with alien help.
And could it be that, well, you know that the USA and the Soviet Union got much of the technology and the scientists of Germany. Meanwhile, yeah, other countries also got something. There was the project Paperclip, and the Russians had also their own Paperclip. Um, could it be that the USA and the Russians continued just where the Germans left it, and many of the UFOs that we see on the skies are in reality made in this earth with human technology?
I think that's possible. Yeah, I think like Project Paperclip brought over about 1,600 rocket scientists and engineers like Werner von Braun and Oberth, but they may have had the flying saucer people, that exotic technology. They may have been brought over too. And it's true that the Americans and Russians could have been developing that. I think they certainly were developing, the back engineering of flying saucer technology. There was a Roswell crash and others. So maybe certainly the Germans could have helped with that. So I think that's possible. So I think some of the UFOs we see are man-made and some are alien. It's hard to say now. I think in the early days they're mostly alien because there's so many of them since 1947. I don't think they could have been man-made, and they're way beyond any capabilities. Like the Germans, I guess, never made them operational. So I think the early ones were mostly alien, but today it might be half man-made, half alien. It's hard to say, but today it's definitely a mix.
but the Germans may have gotten the technology from somewhere. Which extraterrestrial race could have given to them this technology?
Well, the story is that it came from Aldebaran. Aldebaran is star system 65 light years away from here, and that they channeled the information like to Maria Orsich. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Some people wonder if she even existed or not, if she was invented in 1960 in a book. um, but so they may have gotten it from Aldebaran or like from the White Nordics. The White Nordics are probably sympathetic, I think, to the Germans. Probably the gray aliens may have been as well. Um, but it's mysterious. But I don't think the Germans succeeded with it. Like today, they have these disinfo agents who say they're with the 20 and back program. But I think the 20 and back program is not true. There's people say they've been in space for 20 years. They meet all these nasty Nazis in space, and then they come back in time 20 years.
Know,
I don't believe it. I think it's just this fake.
Do you know that Cory Good said in court that he made it all up? Because,
Yeah.
he had two options: or say that he made it all up, that then, it was his invention, he could copyright it.
Yeah, he admitted it. He said,
Or,
"This my intellectual property." Says it's my
yeah,
intellectual. They can't say this. It's my property. So I'm glad he admitted that he just lied and made it all up.
because if he said that it really happened, then everybody can talk about it. But the best of everything, later he made a video in his one of his social networks where he said, no, it really happened, but I had to say that because to keep my intellectual property. Then I think, okay, are you lying now in the video, or were you lying in court? Because if you were lying in court, that's a crime in the USA.
Yeah.
Lying to a court. But okay,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that he said later, oh, it really did happen, but I said that to protect. It doesn't make sense if it's his intellectual property. If it did happen, then that doesn't make sense.
I knew from the beginning it was all lies.
Yeah, me too. I knew from the beginning. It's ridiculous. It was such on a 3D level. He never understood the profundity of the higher realms of these ETs. And he said the Nazis went to Mars and killed the native mantids, which makes no sense at all, since mantids are much higher beings than humans. That could never happen. Yeah, so I'm just clarifying about the Nazi UFOs. People hear all these lies about the 20 and back, all these evil Nazis in space. I'm just saying that's not true. So it helps to state that the Nazis never really succeeded with that.
But you said before about the Roswell incident. It's very interesting because the Roswell incident happened in Roswell, New Mexico. There is very close from where the nuclear squadron was based. The first nuclear bomb was detonated not very far from there, and there they were experimenting also with German material that they had taken at the end of the war. But the most fascinating is that same year, 1947, was another event more or less the same, in Kapustin Yar, Soviet Union,
Oh, the
uh,
Kapustin Yar. Yeah, that's their center.
on nearby, yeah, secret. Back then it was secret. Now everybody knew it exists. Uh, where the Russians were also experimenting with German material that they had taken at the end of the war.
What
So,
happened? Was it like flying saucer? I know about Kapustin Yar, but I didn't know what happened in 1947. Did they have a flying saucer at that time?
yes, also a UFO crash in Kapustin Yar.
Okay.
Only is less known than, yeah, well, Roswell. They say so many things, also, you don't know what to.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a gift. I wonder if the aliens are giving one to the Americans and one to the Russians. You wonder if it's a gift because they're trying to develop our technology.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it may be deliberate on the aliens' part because if they had a crash, they could probably just come down and rescue them just like that if they wanted to. So it may have been deliberate on the aliens' part to let the Americans have it. Maybe
I
the
would
same.
say all these UFO crashes, the half of it are lies and the other half are crashes of human material. But okay,
Yeah.
because okay, if you are an alien race that come from a faraway planet, your technology is like super. Will your ships again and again crash on Earth? Yeah, maybe one time, but not because there is not one country in the world where there has not been an UFO crash. In Mexico, there have been a few. In the USA, there have been a few dozens of them. In Russia, South Africa, all over the world, there have been many UFO
Yeah,
crashes.
maybe 20 or more, but I think they're real. They're probably running sorties from a mothership. I think they have these city sized motherships and just running 20, 30-minute sorties back and forth. So the crashes may be real or they may be just like a deliberate gift to the Americans and the Russians and others to give us technology to work on. Because, like you say, they're so advanced. Why would they crash unless it was deliberate? But I think the evidence, particularly with Roswell, is that there were gray alien bodies. And there's nurses and others who worked on these bodies. There's like I think 150 witnesses and 600 indirect witnesses at Roswell. That's why it's just so well known because there's so many witnesses. But I think there's other crashes as well. So I think it's genuine alien technology.
Not a few days ago, they have something came out of another crash in Arizona in 53, 54 that they also are talking about one body and so on. But well, I still have to research
Yeah,
it.
I think that was the Kingsman, Arizona crash. There's an
Yeah.
Aztec crash. Yeah, there was quite a number of those. Richard Dolan and I had Michael Schratt on my show, and he's got really good illustrations. Michael Schratt's about the best in the world on UFO crashes with artistic illustrations. You should have him on your show. But yeah, I think these are genuine alien crashes. So they have lots of them, and they've got bodies and frozen in tubes. At Wright Patterson Air Force Base and other bases in the United States, and witnesses have seen those as well.
They're asking, Marco de Groot is asking about Operation High Jam. That is the expedition, Antarctic expedition in 46, 47. What do you think about it?
Well, I recently did a video on that with Dr. Joseph Farrell, and he's researched it, and he didn't think it was that much because Admiral Byrd, he said in the future, the enemy may be able to travel from pole to pole. He never said he saw flying saucers. He never referred to flying saucers or UFOs. He just had made these vague statements. And I think the Animal Bird Diary is just a hoax. I don't think it's true. So it's not. I'm not sure what they encountered and why they retreated. You know, they may have encountered UFOs, but I don't think it was Nazis. I don't think there's any Nazi technology there in Antarctica. It's kind of mysterious, but Joseph Farrell didn't think it was that big of a deal. You know, maybe they encountered UFOs, but
But you don't think that there could be a German base and that they stayed there after the war or something?
I don't think there was a German base. No, I mean, maybe they were going to look for one to see if there was one, but I don't think any German base survived the war. I think that's
Because
overrated.
if there was this German base, okay, they could have stayed there a few months after the war, but how you supply something like that?
Yeah. Joseph Farrell thought they went to Argentina. They had a good relationship with the Juan Perón government, and they were making technology for the Argentinian government. But it doesn't make sense to think they would go to Argentina to Antarctica, especially when they're persecuting a war, all their resources going into a war. It doesn't make sense that they would start to build up some base. And how do you sustain it? Like you're saying, how do you sustain a base in Antarctica? And it's been like 75 years, you know, since then. So I don't think they succeeded with the base in Antarctica. I think it's a very it's a fanciful story. People love stories like that, and it gets so much embellished. Like the Admiral Byrd story gets embellished with this Admiral Byrd diary, but I think that was just a hoax.
But you think that the Earth is hollow, is flat, or what is your opinion?
Well, I think there might be caverns in the Earth, like there could be underground bases, underwater bases, bases under the ocean. Could be bases in Antarctica. There could be alien bases. I think there could be caverns. I wouldn't say the whole Earth is hollow, no. And the Earth's definitely not flat. It's an oblate spheroid. It's about 25 miles wider at the equator than it is at the pole. So it's a spheroid. It's called an oblate spheroid, but the Earth is not flat, no. I've made about a dozen videos about the Earth not being flat. And the flat earthers get very upset with me.
Yeah, well, I think this thing of the flat Earth is to give a bad name on the whole conspiracy world. So because you can talk something that is well researched, well proven, let's say, I don't know, Bilderberg Club or New World Order, or there's a lot of information and then the one will come and will say, don't listen to this guy. He even believes that the earth is flat. Because many people that is not in this thing of conspiracies and so, they think that all conspiracy theorists believe in the flat earth. And that is, of
Yeah,
course,
I agree totally. That's the reason
nonsense.
is to discredit the truth movement. Yeah, that they associate flat earthers with every conspiracy. You really see this on BitChute now. There's all these flat earth videos infecting BitChute. So when I come on there with my spherical earth videos, it gets them really upset. But I think, yeah, it's a plan. It's a globalist top-down agenda to promote the flat earth idea. You got to give them some credit for something as ridiculous as that. Many people believe it. I read that something like 20% of young people now believe the earth is flat. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, I never saw flat Earth videos get taken down. Also, if
exactly.
a Flat Earth channel gets taken down, normally is because he talked about something else. Maybe
Yeah,
he
Hitler or
talked,
the Jews or something. Yeah.
or yeah, or about this one, or some stuff like that. But for Flat Earth, no, they even promote it.
Yeah, yeah. The globalists want people talking about the flat Earth because it makes us look like idiots. It's so true. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And this began in March of 2015, and Eric Dubay single handedly flattened the Earth after 4.6 billion years. Eric Dubay, an American yoga teacher in Thailand, he's the king of the flat Earth. He started it all.
And they say that yeah, I saw photos of him dressed as a woman and stuff. He's a strange guy. I don't know.
I didn't know he did that. I did a video once with Flat Earth Dave Weiss. And we had a friendly talk, but I didn't agree with him. We talked for an hour.
Okay. Well, but you say these cavities that there are inside the Earth. You think there are races, alien races living there, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think remote viewers have discovered them in Alaska. I think Mount Hayes in Alaska and in the Himalayas and Western Australia. And I think under the ocean, like in the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific, around that area, the South Pacific, I think there's underwater bases. Yeah, and in mountains as well. Aliens have carved them out. I believe so. Pat Price was a remote viewer around mid 1970s. He discovered this alien base at Mount Hayes, Alaska.
But you say that the gray aliens are a positive race, and so why did you come to this conclusion? Because this is not the most popular. They are not the most popular race. Actually, most people see them as a negative influence, that they abduct people and stuff like that.
Well, it's because the people have actually experienced the grays. Most of them report positive experiences. Often they're frightened at first, but they develop a relationship over the years, and they develop a good relationship. For instance, this is the research done by the Consciousness Contact Research Institute, CCRI. They did a survey of 4,350 experiencers in 125 countries. They asked them over 600 questions, and over 80% reported good experiences with the ETs, mostly the grays, and half of them have experienced healings. So this is actual science. This is actual evidence of a large-scale scientific survey. It's the only one of its kind ever done. Nothing before or since has had a large-scale study. So the evidence indicates that the grays are good, and most people have good experiences. These negative stories about the grays is basically propaganda, I think. I think it's like negative media aimed as a deliberate attack against the grays. And it's just anecdotal. You hear about one person who's scared or has a bad experience, but you don't get the large-scale studies of thousands of people when you hear those stories.
But there are different gray races, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say like even Susie Hansen, who I follow the most, she's had the grays all of her life. This is her book, The Dual Soul Connection, The Alien Agenda for Human Advancement. She was told by the grays that there's an interloper species of grays, meaning that there's a negative species of grays that they're aware of. So there could be a few negative grays or separate species that are not part of this kind of federation or association of various aliens work together. Many work together. The grays, the mantids, the human types, the white Nordics, they work together. So there could be a few bad grays that work outside of that, or perhaps they work with the negative reptilians, or even with the American governments or the globalist government.
That's what people say, that there are like biologic robots made by the reptilians, and that the reptilians, the Greys, and the U.S. government work together.
Yeah, I think the negative reptilians definitely work with the U.S. government and the Rothschilds, the globalist government. I think all the good greys are are real beings with souls. They've been like hybridized. They're hybrids, but they have real souls. So these robotic ones, I don't know. Maybe the reptilians have made robotic ones, and the purpose of it may be to discredit the Greys' reputation. That could be the reason behind it.
Okay. Um, a first question. What do you think about Donald Trump?
Well, I've thought a lot about him. I still support him. I hope he wins. I don't want Kamala Harris to be president. Um, my advice about Donald Trump has been the same since 2015. I think people should support the candidate who's going to try to harm the world slower instead of the candidate who's going to try to harm the world faster. So I think you should pick the lesser of two evils. Um, I think Donald Trump is still.
You would have said me that in 2016, I would have said yes. But if I look at Harris and I look at Trump, I would say now Trump is more with the Jewish interest than because Harris must keep appearances with all these pro-Palestinian groups, and so meanwhile Trump is just all the way with Israel.
Yeah, you're right. That's disappointing about Trump. He's all the way with Israel, but does Trump really want to kill babies in Palestine? What exactly does he want to do
I think
in
he don't
Palestine?
care. I don't think he gets off like saying, "Oh, I want to kill people but he just don't care."
Well, in a way, it's not his business, right? It's Israel is the evil one. Israel is being demonic, and Israel is one doing it. Although the U.S. is probably giving them arms, to do it. Yeah, I think Trump is he's a Rothschild puppet or agent, just like all of them. All of them are. But I think he wants to build the border and help the U.S. economy and keep aliens out, and probably do a bit better job for America than Kamala Harris. So I think I would still prefer Trump over Harris, but I think of them all as Rothschild agents. Yeah, all of American politics is, I would say.
Harris gets money from Soros and from IPAC, and that well. Soros is Jewish, but his relation with Netanyahu is not that good. He has a more international view of Zionism,
Yeah.
and Trump he gets money from this Miriam Adelson, which is the widow of Sheldon Adelson, and Larry Fink. What is his of this investment conglomerate? I forgot the name now. BlackRock from
Yeah, well,
BlackRock.
BlackRock is right like the Rothschilds, and he even said he wanted to appoint the director of
Larry
BlackRock.
Fink of
Yeah,
the Treasury
in
Director.
Treasury. Yeah, that's like getting the fox to guard the hen house. Yeah, so it's all Rothschild. In fact, Robert Kennedy Jr. he pointed this out about him wanting to appoint him to the Treasury. Robert Kennedy Jr. said it's like they're jingling these keys. The Republicans and the Democrats get you to argue about LGBT or argue about abortion, but big things like the Federal Reserve, major economic decisions, nobody talks about that. They don't discuss that. So I think Robert Kennedy is closer to the real truth, what's going on. That's why he can't get elected, because he's telling more of the real truth. Yeah.
Robert Kennedy, well, he's also for Israel. That is
Yeah.
somewhat I understand because they killed his uncle and his father.
Father. Yeah.
That well, his father, I because his father supported Israel also, and his uncle, they say that it's because he wanted them to stop the the Israeli nuclear program, and
Yeah.
when he threatened to take away U.S. Help for Israel is when they killed him. But Serhan, they say that he was this Palestinian that killed Robert Kennedy because, but he still don't remember anything.
But
But
he didn't do it though. He didn't do it. He was MK Ultra. He was brainwashed. Robert Kennedy was shot by his bodyguard behind him, Thane Eugene Caesar. And Robert Kennedy Jr. wanted to go see him, but he died in the Philippines just a few years ago, around age
But
77.
Robert Kennedy, they wanted to free Sirhan not so long ago,
Yeah,
and in the end they didn't. The parole officer said he can go free, but the government, when
yeah,
Robert Kennedy Jr. said, "Yeah, let him free," but they don't let him free because if they let him free, he could make a regression and then remember everything. As long as
yeah.
he's in jail, there's no problem.
But one of the assassins is still out there. Tom Terrence. He was 21 years old at the time. He brought Sirhan in with Kathy Ainsworth. Kathy Ainsworth was shot dead shortly after that. But Tom Terrence is still alive. He since became a born again Christian. He's living in Israel. But he was part of the assassination as well. You could get him on your show. Yeah. But I can understand Robert Kennedy Jr. He has to support Israel. If you're running for president, you have to support Israel. I can understand that. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere, right?
Yeah, in Europe is the same. All the parties, they, it's like it doesn't matter who you vote anymore. So okay, in Europe, you can say, yeah, I support Palestinians and blah, 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 but you must say at least Israel has the right to exist and defend itself. If you say that, you are okay. Then you must be also with NATO, and you must be for capitalism, for the big Zionist industrial complex. If you are agree with these three things, then you are okay. If you are not agree with one of the three, maybe you get an MP here and there, but you will never do anything important in politics.
Yeah. How do you feel? You live in The Hague and Holland. You're right in the middle of Europe. How do you feel being in Europe?
Well, Europe, the maybe is not so hardcore for Israel and so like the United States, but yeah, with all this thing of Ukraine and so we have seen it the last years because people thought no Europe. US respect Europe and blah blah blah. Yeah, bullshit. NATO, we are a colony of the USA, and the USA is a colony of Israel.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I would say Israel was created by the Rothschilds. They put up the money for it. So I think the city of London is the center of the world power structure. And I think reptilians work through the Rothschilds. I really believe, like the shape shifting reptilians, this is the ET relationship with the globalists. So I think there's good aliens, higher aliens like the Mantids, and the gray alien agenda for human advancement above the reptilians. But I think it's reptilians really running the world through the globalists in the city of London. That's my hypothesis.
There they ask for BRICS, Russia, China, and so on. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that's another Rothschild ploy. I think the Rothschilds are controlling BRICS as well to give people the illusion, oh, they're challenging the American dollar. The American dollar is going to go down. So maybe there's hope, we'll do something different with BRICS. But I think the Rothschilds are two steps ahead of everybody. and the Rothschilds control BRICS as well. So
much of the Russian oligarchs are Jews, and
yes,
and
yeah,
these oligarchs control Putin and the Chinese. Yeah, maybe the Chinese have more space to move, but in the end, all the industries in China, so they are property of Western corporations, property of the ones with the big nose, and or they have their markets in the West, or so. In the end, they are all intertwined. They are all connected. You know.
yeah. I think of all the global leaders like Putin and Xi, Zelensky, and the American president, I think of them as all Rothschild agents, and they seem to want to get World War III off the ground. So we should talk about World War III. That's been my biggest concern since 2016. I made a series of videos about these prophecies from South Africa of Nicholas von Rensburg, who prophesied World War III. It seems this is what they're trying to do by escalating the Ukraine conflict. They could have settled it in the first month. They had an agreement. And then Boris Johnson was sent by the Americans to cancel the agreement, and they immediately all escalated it without diplomacy. So it's not a normal war where you'd have diplomats settle it. So it seems Putin, I think, is part of it as well. Putin, he could have just taken over the Ukraine, but he didn't do that. So normally if you invade, you bring in an army 3 times bigger than the other army, but he only brought in like 1/3 the army to hold like Donbass. So I think Putin is also a Rothschild agent working to get World War III going. So I think they're all doing this. That's my biggest concern for the world.
Before the Ukraine war, he was with the World Economic Forum and all this shit. And yeah, after the war started, Schwab had to get him out because you need to keep appearances and stuff
You mean
like that.
Putin? You mean Putin, right?
Putin, yeah, Putin.
Yeah, you're right.
And I don't know if you know it that Schwab is a Rothschild. That yeah.
Yeah,
His
what's his relationship with the Rothschild? Is it his wife or is it his mother? What is?
his mother, but
Whoa, wow.
because he took he took the last name of his father, he lost the Rothschild. That in these debunkers they say no, was another banker with the same last name. Yeah, of course.
Well, people say that Klaus Schwab's father was a Nazi. Is that right? Doesn't matter if his mother's a
Maybe
Rothschild.
if he was, must have been something like Soros, that he
Yeah,
collaborated to make some money or save himself or stuff like that.
well,
Because
he might
you
have just
know,
been a normal German following the German, following Hitler. But people make much out of that. It's not like he's following Nazi policies at all. He's following Rothschild policies. His mother was a Rothschild. So yeah, Klaus Schwab is just another Rothschild agent.
that that Soros also collaborated with the Nazis and stuff like that.
I think he was doing it for the Jews. I think this is part of this Jewish culture and Jewish community. I think he's working for the Jewish people and collaborating with the Germans.
Yeah, he worked for a guy that that guy. I think that he asked money to Jews in exchange to get them out of hands of
Yeah, something like that. That's not a big surprise.
like that. Yeah, but in the end, he so the ones that collaborated, they did for to save themselves or to make money.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a big surprise, I guess, in that situation.
And what do you think about? Well, Maduro must be also like he works for Putin, and Putin, because Maduro, he's uh, he's Jewish or of Jewish origin. But if you look at Maduro and you look at the opposition, the opposition are more sold to Jewish interests than the Maduro government in Venezuela.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know much.
Actually, Maduro talked against Israel a few times and so on.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about him.
That they say that Chavez, they killed him with some electromagnetic weapon and some shit like that.
It could be. Yeah.
But if this Third World War starts, where you think it would start in Europe or in the Middle East?
Well, according to the prophecy, Turkey's going to aggravate Russia and provoke Russia, and then Russia's going to roll across Turkey, and that will be the beginning of the war, and then the war will spread across Europe. And the victors will be the German people. At the end of the war, the Germans will dominate southern Africa. The northern hemisphere will be devastated, and the Germans will be the dominant people in the world.
Actually, that coincides with an Islamic prophecy, also the Malhama, that that Istanbul will fall again in Christian hands, and then the Muslims take it back again, or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah.
That some say that this already happened in the 15th century, but some say no, that will happen again, and so, but well. There is also this thing of Armageddon, that the forces of good and evil, they will fight one another in Israel. That, well, depending on which side you are, some say that the good ones are the Russians, others say that the good ones are the US and the Israelis, but, well, I don't know.
Well, you mean like the Christian prophecies of the end times? Are you talking about the Christians? Yeah. Well, I'm a Buddhist. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe the Bible. I don't believe the Book of Revelations. I don't believe in the second coming of Jesus. I think the historical evidence actually indicates that Jesus never even existed. It's a pretty serious thing to say, but if you look at the historicity of it, that seems to be the evidence.
Well, I know that there have been people that talked about him, and so I think he did exist, but yeah, maybe all this miracle, some things of the Bible are made up. I don't know.
I used to think that. I used to think he was just a Jewish rabbi, but it seems that there's no evidence until about after 100 years, 150 years, they started to develop the story. It may have been to break up a Jewish messianic movement. They may have created this figure and backdated it. I mean, there's lots of people devoted decades of their lives to studying the history. There's a YouTube channel called Jesus Never Existed. And I once talked to Jeffrey Doherty. He was a Christian minister for over 30 years, and he believes Jesus never existed. So he quit the ministry, and he studied the Bible and literature for over 100,000 hours, he said. He concluded that Jesus never existed. So these are people who really study the history.
Well, not until not that long ago, now the Christianity is more a problem than an asset. Until not that long ago, the Catholic Church was big enemy of the Jews and the Freemasons. Now they are so. Now they are the big brothers in the faith, or something like that. And Protestants are even more sold to Jewish interests and so on. So
Yeah, it was with the Vatican II in the mid '60s that they changed their stance on the Masons. The Catholics for centuries were against the Masons because they forbid their members from being part of secret societies because your loyalty should be with God. But then since the '60s, they've turned around. Now they're friends with the Masons. So they've been taken over. That's true. I agree. And I think from an ET perspective, ETs, the aliens, want us to develop spiritually. So I think our old spiritual ways, like the Abrahamic religions, are not uplifting people, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism. It's not spiritually raising people's consciousness. It's not raising their vibration. I think we need a higher form of spiritual development. I think that's what the extraterrestrials want for us, and that's really what we need to develop.
and you think that the Nazis, you think that Hitler himself was in contact with ETs?
Well, maybe. I know one experiencer said that he had this impression that the Germans in the 1930s and 40s, they were approached first by the Greys to work together, and the Germans decided not to. So that would indicate that Hitler would have been approached. And he himself might have been what's called these three waves of souls, like Susie Hansen describes these three waves of souls, which have been coming since 1850. Like he was a real communicator, innovator. He might have been one of these kind of higher realm beings who took rebirth to help change the world, to make a difference. So he may have been one of those types of people because he's born in 1889.
But so you think that the Abrahamic religions were set up by reptilians or something like that?
Well, I did. I studied the works of Paul Wallace. He's got a great YouTube channel. He was a minister for 30 years. He said the Jews originally had shrines to various alien races, and one king just decided to pick Jehovah, who was basically a reptilian, and he just stuck with Jehovah and ignored the other gods. So they had like shrines to other ET races. So I think the very beginnings of the Bible, the Jewish people had a relationships with ETs, but this has been forgotten or suppressed, and then they just stayed with Jehovah. So Jehovah may have actually been a reptilian influence. So I think they did know about ETs originally at the beginning of the Bible. That's really powerful evidence, too, historical evidence. Check out Paul Wallace's YouTube videos on this. I did a video about his videos as well.
Says Marco, the Growth Bible could be a collection of stories or events that are much older, like Anunnaki, Mesopotamia. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets have a lot of stories that show up later in the Bible. I think like Adam and Eve, it was like a story about genetics and DNA, male and female. And I think that was sort of distorted or changed to become Adam and Eve of the Bible. So that part goes right back to the Sumerian tablets. And that was about 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia.
But what makes you think that the other religions were not also created by aliens?
Well, I think I'm saying it might have been the reptilians that created Judaism, and maybe the Jews actually created Islam as well. I wouldn't quite say aliens. I think of aliens as good. I wouldn't say it's good aliens that created the Islamic religions or the Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Judaism. But I think Buddhism is in harmony, I think, with the ETs. I think Buddhism is perhaps the most compatible with the extraterrestrials, like raising your consciousness, achieving states of enlightenment. Of course, I'm a Buddhist myself since 1991, so maybe I'm biased, and
But
perhaps some of the Hindu schools.
what do you think of this thing of the Anunnakis? And so you think we were created by aliens?
Yes, I think we were. They may have taken already evolving primates and then genetically engineered them to create humans. Yeah, I think the ETs created us. So we're like a hybrid of some kind. We could be a combination of a few different ET DNA mixed with high or primates that already existed here. So yeah, I think so. I don't believe we
Yes.
evolved.
Some say that like the white race may have come from other planet, like from Mars or something, and the other races were from here, from the Earth, or from like what you say, genetic mixing and stuff like that.
Well, I think the white race is associated with the Nordics, maybe the Pleiadians. There's various white races in the galaxy, so they could be called tall Nordics. Probably one of those brought them to the Scandinavia area, Scandinavia, because they look the most like the Nordic ET. So I would assume those aliens brought the white race here. But I would think other aliens brought, like the Chinese, the blacks, are probably all genetic experiments, or they're either made here or brought here. But I think maybe different aliens created different races of human beings, or it might have been the same group of aliens put them in different areas. You can understand the blacks are suitable for the sun in Africa. The sunny days in Africa, they're suitable for that. Well, your sound is off. Your sound is turned off.
I don't believe much this thing that they all came out from Africa and stuff like that. I read another theory that either the black race came independently, or some either say there is a theory that's out of Europe that like whites may have gone to Europe, and there they interbred with some kind of hominid, and that's where the black race came from.
Oh, well, I agree with you. The out of Africa theory 60,000 years ago makes no sense at all, that all human beings were blacks in Africa. And then they came through the Arabians up to Europe, and they turned white in the Nordics in the last 60,000 years. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe in evolution.
It makes no sense with the evolution theory. So we were apes that we had hair and then we lose the hair, so that we must put clothes on to protect us from the cold and the sun. So if the
Yeah.
evolution was true, then, but yeah, the evolutionists make some kind of all complicated thing that we had to run to hunt animals and stuff like that, and that we sweat a lot and blah blah blah. Okay.
Yeah, I think they took advantage of Darwin, like Darwin had his theory of evolution. I think what the globalists did, I think they took advantage of Darwin and they exaggerated that, and they say, yeah, evolution is it. And I think when they promoted the theory of evolution, they didn't believe it themselves. They knew it was a lie. They knew they're promoting a lie. One reason is to kind of attack God, or just to mislead the public. Like maybe they knew we came from aliens. They want to keep the truth to themselves and lie to the general public. So I think evolution was a lie, and intended to be a lie right since the 1800s, I think. Like Darwin, he wasn't that sure. Like he was a Christian. He believed in God as well. But I think they just sort of took advantage of Darwin's theories.
Okay, well, we have 1 hour of program. I don't know if there is some other subject you would like to talk before we finish.
Well, I think I like these visits with you. We can talk about anything that comes up. But still, I would say I'm hopeful for the future. I think the gray alien agenda for human advancement is working behind the scenes. Like I think the ETs want humans to do our own work. They want us to develop spiritually, but I think they're sort of guiding this process. And even though the world looks kind of disappointing, like it's hard to imagine 8 billion people developing spiritually, I think the ETs do have a plan and they're working on it. So I'm basically optimistic for the future. That's why I like to other than that, I think it's hopeless. I think the globalists have enough complete control of the world. If we don't have extraterrestrial help, I think it's basically hopeless. But I'm I'm hopeful because I think we do have extraterrestrial help.
If you ask me future, like 100 to 100 years, maybe. But if you say future like 5 years, 10 years or so, I'm not that. We are going to a total dystopia where you cannot move. Not that you will be controlled on the street, you will be controlled inside your house. With actually, you are already. If they want to know what you do in your house, they can switch on the cameras of your computers, your phones, whatever they. So yeah,
Well, it could get worse first. Like even the gray aliens have said, there's going to be tough times ahead. There's going to be difficult times ahead. There'll be like a dead stage on the planet with lots of despondency. So the grays anticipate like a terrible time ahead. So I think things might get worse before they get better, but I think the things will eventually improve. I think we'll have a much better world.
what do you think about what is happening in England?
Well, I just made a video about it the other day. I wonder if it's all real. I wonder if any of this could be like fake media. Like, were these three girls really stabbed to death by non whites, or was that a fake story or not? Maybe they're trying to foment more
Well,
racial tension.
the thing is, I think it's real, but this Tommy Robinson was the one that fucked up the thing, saying that he was a Muslim that just came to England. What when? Yeah, he was a migrant, but he was a Christian black guy that was born in
So,
in England.
so he's
But
black. He's black, not
yeah,
Muslim.
but if the truth had come out that he was a black Christian guy born in England, that there would have been riots, but maybe not that big. But this Tommy Robinson, his whole person is made up. They say he was a guy that he was a mason, but not a Freemason, a mason that really built houses, and then he got into politics and so. But it turns out that that's a lie, and his name is not even Tommy Robinson. His real name is Oxley Lennon, or so some composite last name, and he's a Jew. And
Is he a Jew? I know he's pro Israel. I've never trusted him for years. I've never trusted him. He's pro Israel, right?
he's the one that started the whole thing, and now there is this thing that a Jewish guy that was half Japanese. Well, actually, he was not even Jew. He was half Austrian, half Japanese, married with a Jewish woman, but he felt himself he was Jewish, and he said that, and he's considered the founder of the European Union, and he wrote something called the Scholarship Plan.
The clergy plan. Yeah, I know. Koganov Kalergi was his name in the 1920s.
That
Koganov Kalergi. Yeah, it was half
they,
Austrian, half Japanese. Yeah.
he said that the Jews will have the heroicity, and they will be a race of conquerors, and for that we must bring Africans and Asians to Europe to mix them with white, so that there comes a brown race, and the Jews will dominate.
Oh yeah, I made videos about that. He was the originator of that idea. I don't want your video to get banned by YouTube, but that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
better.
that's
Another
true.
time we will make a video where we tape it, and then
Put it
we
on
put it,
BitChute. Yeah, on
maybe
BitChute.
BitChute, Odyssey, something like that. Okay, Brian. Let's just we talk on Facebook, and then we agree for another program. Okay.
Yeah, very good. I always enjoy meeting you, Thomas. It's always fun.
Yeah, and thank you, the people of the chat: Marco the Groat, Hermandad Estelar, Indio, Coco Monoloco, and Thiva, and all the other people that will see us later. Thank you very much, and good
Okay, thank
night.
you. Thank you, Thomas. Bye now.